Hi everyone and welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about weight changes that start happening when we hit our midlife years, right? We all know pretty much that it's harder to maintain our weight and our shape and size as we get a little older. Well, it all has to do with homeostasis of three things: our heredity, our genes, right? Our habits, and our hormones. So let's talk about these. Hit one of these one at a time. Let's talk about heredity. Okay, so everybody knows that apple-shaped body. Well, we're born, some of us are born with an apple-shaped body, and basically those women tend not to have any waist at all. And then we've got the pear shape, right? And they can have a high waist, they can have a medium waist, or they can have a low waist. And this makes a difference later on when we talk about habits. And then of course we have the Raquel Welch figure, that hourglass figure. Does it truly exist? It exists. That 36, 24, 36, well, that's the hourglass. And then we've got the hot dog figure. That's the pretty much straight up and down. And they can have high, medium, or low waist lines as well. And so as we hit our midlife years, all of these body shapes can gain weight, all of them. But the way they gain weight is where they hold their fat. Because as we gain weight, we're going to gain fat. So for those women who are apple, they're going to get it more in their waist. For those who are pear, they're going to get more in their thighs and their waist, because as we get older, we're going to find out we get more in our waist anyway. And then the Raquel Welch hourglass, they gain weight too, and they can get little bigger bellies just as much, as well as larger breasts and larger hips. They get it too. And then the hot dogs, well, they spread out pretty much evenly. They're still hot dogs. But I think what's important here about heredity is to remember that no matter what you have, you can optimize and look beautiful in the shape that you have. You know, think about when you were younger. Think about that you were smaller at one time if you're having trouble with losing weight. And it wasn't because of just your body type, right? She didn't look beautiful just because of her body type. It also had to do with the other two situations as well. So we can optimize our shape. I always knew I was important. So how do we do that? Well, one of the ways is our habits, right? So we have to know what, when, where, and how much to eat, and what, when, where, and how much to exercise, right? And all of this becomes more important as we hit our midlife years. When we were younger and our growth hormone was at its peak, these things kind of took care of themselves much easier. We could cheat a whole lot more. But did you know in growth hormone alone drops 12% every decade? And it's more than that too. So not only do we need to know what, when, where, and how much to eat and exercise, we also need to have a plan. And we also need to be consistent with that plan. And that's the hardest part. I mean, we have what we were given, but we have to have a plan and be consistent with how to optimize what we were given. Otherwise, it can get out of shape, right? So I have a bubbling secret coming up, and it's an exciting surprise. So hang in there, because it's something about helping you plan and be consistent, okay? This is all about your discovery, action, and success plan. Okay, how about the third one? Hormones. So important. And that's why you got the AccuMap 5 and my virtual consult, right? Because I'm going to help you with this. We're going to knock this one out. But what I want to make sure you also know is that it's not just sex hormones, right? It's not. It's adrenal hormones. That's our stress hormones, cortisol and DHEA that come from the adrenal glands. Critical. Thyroid hormones, right? And gut hormones, insulin, glucagon, blood glucose, and all of these hormones interplay and intermix with one another. So sex hormones affect adrenals, adrenals affect sex, and sex hormones affect thyroid, and thyroid affects gut, and thyroid affects sex. And I mean, it's just all wound up into one. So that's where it comes, homeostasis of all things. We have our heredity that we can optimize, our habits that we need a good plan and consistency, and then a balanced hormone system. Okay, so thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week when we're gonna actually be talking about adrenal hormones and stress and the things associated with that, and it will bring us back to where we actually are today as well. So see you next week. Bye-bye.